Minecraft Origins, Tale of the Piglin Army. The ancient builders have built many great things, but they wanted to explore tier expand. So the clan leader got his scientists to experiment on the obsidian they made on accident. When the royal scientist experimented with the obsidian, they faced a lot of failures, until one used fire.
The portal lit up a purple screeching window. On the frame of obsidian, yes, the scientists yelled the experiment was a success. So they went to report it to the clan leader. The clan leader was shocked at the news at the portal. Worked and told the scientists to send 12 guards, 6 farmers, and 5 scientists into the portal. But first to send a piglin to make sure it was.
The ancient builders drew in a wild hog into the portal by throwing the carrot into the portal. When the hog got out, the builders all thought it was safe, so they went to the portal, and what they saw shocked them. When the ancient builders walked in the portal, they were shocked to see a whole dimension of ice and snow. The cold and icy landscape had a ceiling above it, almost as if the portal was a door to a planet that was hollow. It was the only explanation they had to why the other world had a ceiling above it instead of a sky with a sun. When they all reported this find to the clan leader, the leader was impressed and said this could be used for mining ice, so they wouldn't need to travel all the way to the ice biome. Months later, the ancient builders mined the Nether's ice. To help mine faster, they built burning metal creatures called blazes to melt the outer ice to make it easier to mine and make water. They were suffering from a drought that got rid of their rivers and lakes, so they needed to make water bring the creation of the blaze, and to make sure the blaze's population wouldn't die out, they used mob spawners left by the builder founder. After days and nights of overmining, the Nether's volcano erupted. The enormous volcano burned and melted the icy landscape, turning it into hell. The builders slowly realized this when lava leaked from the Nether's ceiling, so they built a structure that would house the blazes and their treasures. The fire and brimstone wouldn't stop them because, after the Nether transformed itself, the builders found netherite ore, but also giants. The volcano's eruption had woken up giant striders and the lava melted its skin off. Now a giant skeleton. The giants would walk, destroying the builders. Hard work, so like any human, the builders attacked the giants, sending both parties to endangered species. After the giant and human war, the remaining builders went to instead try to learn and study the new Nether. They found out it was way too hot for any water to be in the other world, but mushrooms could grow. The ancient builders left the mushrooms to grow and expand, and after a few years, they were in amazement. The mushrooms grew into giant red trees with light. It was still very hot, but this new development piqued the builders' interest. The builders brought in the one hog they sent in from last time. It turned out that the hog had gotten more years added to its lifetime. As it outlived the old clan leader, they feed the hog the mushrooms, and one of the other hogs grew addicted to them. While the builder clan experimented with the hogs, word spread it across the overworld, and more builders had gone to the Nether, and they mined the mushroom trees to make wood and potions. Soon a new biome would be made, but it was where the Nether meets the end. A few years later, the ancient builders had dealt with a zombie apocalypse, but they were resilient and continued experimenting on the hogs. But they found out they had evolved. The first hog was the strongest, and the one who got addicted to the mushrooms was more fat and pale, being albino somehow. The ancient builders used the evolved piglins to build structures for them and mine, building drills and bastions, even rebuilding the destroyed Nether brick structures. As a way to not have the hoglins turn on the builders, they paid them in gold. The piglins didn't know what to use the gold for, so they traded it to each other for mushrooms, and Nether rack and fireproof potions. The builders used them as slaves, and after a while, the first hoglin decided to start a revolution. The hoglin would go by the name of the Great Hog, and led the revolution against the builders. Many builders and hoglins fell during the war. The blazes took inspiration from the hogs, giving rise to the Inferno, who gave the hoglins blaze rods. The builders wouldn't lose to the piglins and lived in Nether brick structures, but this led to a dangerous creature being born. After the wither event in the overworld, the piglins won the war against the builders, leaving them time to evolve more as a society. The albino hoglin that was addicted to the mushrooms was named the Devourer. He lived while the Nether was dying, eating the mushrooms and mutating. He grew giant, ugly spores on his back, and mushrooms grew on his skin, making the Devourer decay. A little and he had his horde do the same, becoming mushroom zombie like piglins. They were sick and the mutation got worse, but they walked through it. A young piglin who was with the great hog during the war was a highly feared fighter. He was called the Beast. He was a great hunter as the piglins hunted other hoglins for food. He rides his beast of war who was ancient hoglin cause its size. He led the hunting side of the horde. The beast's brother, who went by the name of the Unbreakable, was more envious of the great hog and was the strongest of the piglin generals. He lost his arm to the builder clan and his jaw. He was more feared than the beast for his anger and strength. He used a golden arm cannon that fired magma cubes. He wanted to overthrow the great hog, but he wasn't as strong as the king. So he would plan ahead, and to show his envy he sat on a metal and golden throne and favored the more stronger piglin fighters. One of the first hoglins who were in the Devourer's horde left to explore the Nether and found a strange orb. The orb of dominance. The strange orb whispered in his ear, promising power and great futures. This hog would join the piglin generals as the royal advisor to the great hog. The hoglin who held the orb of dominance would be named awsure, and he told the great hog about the overworld, where they could get more gold and expand their home, terraforming the overworld. This would lead to the events of Minecraft Legends. After the events of Minecraft Legends, the great hogs had fallen to a descendant of the first builder. Now in the age of the players, the piglins were all that was left of the piglin army. Those were the days. The days where the piglins were at their greatest. Now just remnants of the evil and greedy kingdom of piglins. The piglin brutes were all that were left of the Unbreakable's horde, and took leadership of the other piglins, putting their gold in the Bastion remnants. While the piglins mourned their fallen leaders, each piglin general left their influence. The beast was a great and brutal hunter. He lived for the hunt, leading today's piglins to hunt hoglins with crossbows and swords, dancing after a victorious hunt. The great Devourer's horde fully mutated into a hive mind of zombified piglins. The rotting smell of these piglins is so toxic piglins avoid them. The hive mind learn how to ride striders to avoid sinking in lava, and their smell can also mutant hoglins. Strangely, after the war, any piglin that crosses the overworld now turns into a zombified piglin, almost as if after the war in Legends a curse was casted onto the piglin race. The Unbreakable. All that was left of the Unbreakable's horde were the piglin brutes. They're strong and act as the leaders of the piglins. Unlike the piglins, they don't care if a player is wearing gold or not. A human is a human, and they hate humans just as much as they hate with the skeletons. To honor the Unbreakable, the piglins put mob spawners in their treasure hoard. The mob spawners, spawning magma cubes like the Unbreakable's magma cube arm cannon. The tales of the piglins' great war will be remembered in villager bedtime stories and the Bastion remnants. The influence the great hog had was the rise and fall of the piglins, and the rise of the Illagers.